going to go behind
How do I
you.
look with binoculars?
I'm going to go behind you with the horse head.
You look like a real tout. or twit, one or the other.
You good?
Mm-hmm.
You can start whenever you want.
What's that?
You guys can start whenever you want. You good?
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first annual Kentucky Derby show. Jerry Bailey in the middle here. I'm Dennis Whitten. I'll be your moderator today. To my right is a man named Paul Daley. I'm sure you've seen his gleaming face in the Lowell Sun. He is the Sun racing writer and expert. He is basically the only full-time racing writer left in New England, as the sport has kind of spiraled out of control in New England. But anyway, we're here today to talk not about that, but about the Kentucky Derby, which is this Saturday in Louisville, Kentucky. And we've got 20 horses in the starting gate, as normal. And I guess you could say all 20 have a chance. So we're going to start off. Paul, would you like to say hello to your audience?
Hello, everybody. And Dennis hasn't been down to Churchill Downs, but Kentuckians would say Louisville. So the rest of the day, I'm going to say Louisville.
Louisville, very good.
And hello, everybody.
Hey, Paul, let's start out with the strength of this field this year. Is this one of the better fields? Not one of the better fields? I know the Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner is not in it, which I think might be a first. But how do you feel the strength of the field shapes up?
Well, we'll see in the fall when the 3-year-olds start racing against the older horses. But I believe, Dennis, that this is one of the best balanced fields and the most interesting Derby in the last several years. I can make a case for several horses. Again, I'll give you my top 2 or 3 picks, but you can make a case for a lot of horses in this. And there are horses that didn't make the field. And I guess while we're at it, we may as well talk about the new point system. The reason Shanghai Bobby is not in the field, he was the 2-year-old champion, is in the new point system, more weight is given to the current races at the longer distances because the Derby is 1.25 miles. And the Florida Derby winner, the Santa Anita Derby winner, the Wood Memorial winner, they each earned 100 points, whereas Shanghai Bobby earned 20 points for winning the Breeders' Cup Juvenile last year. So I think it's worked out well, and the horses that are late developing and late blooming, they'll be in the Preakness, they'll be in the Belmont. So where the Preakness used to be an afterthought on May 18th, and the Belmont not so much on June 8th, now you'll have full competitive fields in those races too, because we'll talk about it. But Todd Fletcher, where he has 5 horses in this field, Bob Baffert doesn't have a horse in the field, but yet Power Broker and Code West will run in the Preakness and the Belmont.
That amazes me that, not that Fletcher has 5, which you would almost expect, but that Baffert does not have a runner in the field. Fletcher's got 1/4 of the field. All right, let's start with Todd. A, how's he going to saddle 5 horses? And B, what does it mean to him if he doesn't hit the board with any of them?
Well, that's the conundrum, is you've only got 10 or 15 minutes to get 5 horses saddled, and where you and I talked off camera, Fletcher certainly has the help, just logistically getting from one horse to the other and giving 5 riders instructions is going to be very, very interesting. He may just say to all 5 jockeys, get home the best way you can, but 3 of the jockeys, John Velasquez and Calvin Borel and Mike Smith, all have won previous Kentucky Derby. So how do you shot one at the expense of the other? The second part of your question is, well, what do you say about Todd if he doesn't saddle the winner?
Yeah.
Well, all it takes is one good horse having his best day. So Fletcher has been in this situation before where he saddled multiple horses, as many as 4 horses, and come away empty. So it could happen.
We'll get to your picks later, Paul, but let's talk about how the race will be run from a technical standpoint. Is there an abundance of speed? Will there be 8 horses trying to close, going 10 wide, or how do you see it unfolding?
I think before we do that, we should talk about the possible weather. because this...
Paul, who's running this show? We're going to talk about... all right, we'll talk about the weather.
Because the weather does impact how the race is going to be run.
You're taking over the show? I didn't believe you.
Anyway, they're talking about a possible muddy track Saturday. And Possible.
So how does that affect your handicapping if it's possible? Are you left hanging out to dry?
It's not going to severely affect my handicapping. The picks I give out, I'll probably still play on Saturday. But if it is muddy in a full 20-horse field, the come-from-behind horses will get lots of clods of dirt in their faces, which they may not like. And it may aid the front runners because they won't get the clods of dirt in their faces, and they may be able to skip over the smooth surface. So getting back to how the race is going to be run, and having said that, there are 3 early speed horses: Falling Sky, Goldencents, and Verrazano. Now, Verrazano and Goldencents, if they were the only speed, I would have moved them up severely. But because there are 3 speed horses, and Falling Sky is going to take him as far as he can, that's the only way he runs, and he's got some quality, I think they're going to kill each other off. That sets it up for the pressers. But unfortunately, handicapping-wise, there are 9 horses that are going to be in the second flight of horses. Some of the better ones of that flight are It's My Lucky Day, Overanalyze, which is a Fletcher horse, Revolutionary, which is a Fletcher horse, and Frat Daddy that Ken McPeak has. So juggling for position of those 9 horses in the second flight up the backstretch is going to be very problematical. The closers are about 6 in number, and the best of the closers in my mind are Normandy Invasion, trained by Chad Brown, and Orb, trained by Shug McGahee. They're going to need some racing luck, and they'll probably have to swing 5 or 6 wide. So anytime you get 20 horses, then it's a crapshoot.
Let me ask you a question. Verrazano is undefeated winner of the Wood Memorial. Goldencents won the Santa Anita Derby. It seems to me you're not giving much credit to their jockeys that say they're going to burn out on the front end. I would think those horses can rate somewhat. I think you're dismissing Verrazano and Goldencents a little too quickly. With just 3 speed horses, I imagine they can just rate.
Well, that could be. You could be right. John Velasquez certainly knows how to rate a horse, and he's on Verrazano. However, Kevin Krieger is on Goldencents, and he had a good year out in California, but he made his way through on the minor tracks such as Golden Gate Fields and Thistledown and places like that. He's trying to become the first African-American to win the race since 1902. And, I know he's going to be gunning the horse for many of those reasons. And Goldencents does have natural speed. Luis Saez on Falling Sky, as Andy Warhol would say, this is my 2 minutes of fame. Right. So he's going to be going out there too. And that's the reason that I discounted them.
What price do you think the favorite will be in this deep field?
I think the favorite is either going to be Verrazano, who's undefeated, or Orb, who won the Florida Derby. And whereas I think Verrazano deserves to be the favorite, I think Orb may go off the favorite based upon his workout of Monday, which I'll talk about when I give my pick. So I'd say 3-1 is probably what you're going to get on the favorite.
So you're seeing the Florida Derby as a very strong prep race?
I am, even though the time wasn't as fast as some of the other prep races. In my mind, time only means something when you're in jail. So anyway, I think the Santa Anita Derby was the fastest of the prep races. But I think the Florida Derby was very strong, and you may have a rerun of the Florida Derby, maybe as simple as that.
Okay, let's talk for a minute about D. Wayne Lucas. I don't know how old Wayne is, but he seems like he's been around forever.
Wayne is about 77.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got a pair in the race.
Yes.
And A, do you think he has a chance to win? And B, has the game passed him by? What's your feelings of D. Wayne?
I don't think you ever forget how to train a good horse. You look at Charlie Whittingham that won at the age of 80 plus, and that was his first Derby winner. So when he gets a good horse, I think he can run with it, so to speak. He used to have great owners, such as Mr. Young and Gene Klein and others that got him tremendous horses. He didn't have those owners for a while. Now he's got Willis Horton and Calumet Farm, who is stocking him again. So I don't think it was him necessarily. He's won it 4 times. He won with Thunder Gulch in '95. He won with Grindstone in '96, with Charismatic in '99, the Philly winning colors in '88. And he's one of the few trainers that have won back-to-back derbies. Ironically, Bob Baffert is not in the Derby this year, is the last one to do it with Silver Charm and Real Quiet in '97 and '98. And Doug O'Neill, who's got Goldencents, is trying to do it 2 years in a row because he won with I'll Have Another last year. Now, Lucas's 2 horses have been training well, Oxbow and Will Take Charge. Oxbow is going to be just off the pace. Will Take Charge is going to come from well off the pace. And I think Lucas feels that these horses are as good as those previous horses that he's had, and with a little racing luck, they may have a shot.
Paul, we've talked about Bob Baffert, Todd Pletcher, D. Wayne Lucas, Doug O'Neill. Are there any young trainers coming into this game that, in baseball or football, you see young kids, Mike Trout or whatever, making an impression? Do you see it in thoroughbred racing? It seems like it's all the same cast of characters.
No, I do, and there's a horse in here that has been working out tremendously this week, Normandy Invasion. And Chad Brown has this horse. Chad is from Mechanicville, New York, right outside Saratoga. Grew up in that environs, and tutored under the late Bobby Frankel, who was a Hall of Fame trainer. He's training Normandy Invasion up to this race perfectly. So I would not be a bit surprised if young Chad Brown doesn't have a derby.
But is it safe to say there's not an overabundance of young hotshot trainers out there?
Not an overabundance, but the young ones that are there are good.
Okay. Let's talk about Lowell native Rick Violet. He can never seem to get a horse to the Derby. What's his story? I know he's a tremendously successful trainer, and he's got a lot of good horses, but you never really see him in the big races.
He had balanced the books that he thought was going to get to the Derby this year, but had some minor setbacks. He trains for the Claridge stable, and a lot of times I think the Claridge stable look at horses who are going to win at 2 years old, so they can get their investments back right away. And if they then happen to progress, like read the footnotes did, then so much the better. But he has great success with young horses, especially 2-year-olds in their second start. So that's kind of how the stable is geared. And he's as good a trainer as there is out there.
Yeah, no question about that. Once again, if you're just joining us, we're here with the Lowell Sons horse racing writer and expert, Paul Daley. We're talking about this year's running of the Kentucky Derby, which is Saturday at Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. Paul, while we're on the subject of Lowell, Gill Campbell, again, seems to be a one that the 2-year-olds seem to run well. He's had he's had a lot of good success through the years. Has Gill got a Derby horse in his future still, or how does he play it?
He plays it so that because he's a breeder,
right, he
can't keep all the good horses for himself and sell all the bad ones, because he wouldn't be in business too long. So he says that, he told me several times, that I know some of these horses that I'm putting up for auction, could become Derby horses, but I have to do it this way. He had a horse in the Derby last year, didn't run that well, but he's one of the top breeders in the country year after year after year. So yeah, he could have a good horse anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people say this Derby is a jockey's race. Calvin Borel, most notably, has won it a few times, just hugging the rail, kind of no man's land, and just zipping up, between the rail and another horse and winning the race. Do you see it as a jockey's race, or a trainer's race, or just luck?
A little of all three. They call him Calvin Borel, and he's been training Revolutionary this past 2 weeks for Todd Pletcher. And of the 5 Pletcher horses, even though Verrazano was the most highly touted, I think Revolutionary, who won the Louisiana Derby, has the best chance of all the Pletcher horses. Borel, in all of the works, they've been in company with other horses, and he's been on the inside, teaching horses to go through small openings, as he's wont to do. And I think Revolutionary has a good shot. He's my third choice.
Oh, okay. The Kentucky Oaks on Friday, the Philly version of the Derby. I know you have some thoughts on that race.
This is the best Kentucky Oaks I've ever seen. The poor fillies always get short shrift when it comes to the Derby. It's going to be on Friday afternoon on CBS SN and at 4 o'clock. And 11 of the best fillies I have seen in my life. I think if any of these fillies were in other years, 10 of them would be the favorite that year. So there's a daily double of the Oaks on Friday and the Derby on Saturday. And you can advance bet the Kentucky Derby on Friday too. So if you're going to Suffolk Downs or Rockingham or wherever, or if you're doing it online and making your bets, you can do a daily double using the Oaks horses on Friday and the Derby horses on Saturday. And the payoffs, I believe, will be good because the Oaks is so deep that you're going to get a good price on any horse. I'm going to use, in my bet, in the Oaks, Beholder, Dreaming of Julia, and Close Hatches. And I'm going to cut
Up. We're not giving out your pick yet, Paul.
Okay.
The Derby.
Okay.
That's the teaser. We're going to wait till the end. Okay, so you're going with 3 fillies?
Yes.
Beholder, Dreaming of Julia,
and Close Hatches.
Close Hatches. Okay. Which of those 3 is it possible to single a horse in the Oaks or no?
It isn't, but if I had to, Bill Mott is pointing Close Hatches for this race, and what's a hell of a trainer.
Does Bill have a horse in the Derby?
He doesn't have a horse in the Derby.
Okay. Why don't you go through your list there, give us a few long shots. I mean, a horse that is going to be 15 to 1 or better, 20 to 1 or better in the Derby. You might throw $2 on. Who would that be?
My long shot bet in the Sun Friday is going to be Frack Daddy.
Frack Daddy. Tell us about that.
Trained by Ken McPeak. Now, Frack Daddy is a horse that took quite a while to learn his lessons. Owner Jim Campanini will tell you that some of his horses that he's had, acted like honor students in high school right away, and others had to have timeout periods. Frack Daddy was one of those timeout period type horses. His first 5 races, he just had trouble in the starting gate. He didn't want to pass horses, but the light bulb eventually went on, and he won a couple of allowance races down in Florida. And then they put him into the Arkansas Derby off a very short rest, having raced before in Florida, and he came in a real good second in that race that got him the points to get into the Derby. Since then, the last 2 weeks at Churchill Downs, he is training unbelievably. And so anyway, I think he's a very, very live long shot Frack Daddy.
Any others you'd throw in there at a price?
I think Normandy Invasion is going to be a price for Chad Brown. So I would throw him in there. If you're looking for another horse at a price, maybe my Luke, Rosie Napravnik. She was on 60 Minutes last Sunday, so I think a lot of the females in the country are going to be driving the price down a little bit on Rosie. But my Luke, trained by Tom Amos, is another horse who's training very well.
Yes, get back to the running of the race. You see the horses come out of the starting gate 20 wide. I mean, just a cavalry charge. How important is that run to the first turn? Is that all important?
It's extremely important. I remember the Philly 3 Rings several years ago, where the trainer Eddie Placer, who's got It's My Lucky Day in this weekend, this is my second pick. He said after the first 1/8 of a mile, if you could have said do you want to go on, or do you want to take her out and save her for another day? He said, I would have saved her for another day. So the run into the first turn is huge. Suppose Goldencents of Verrazano gets post position number 1. Post position number 1 is at an angle. You've got to gun the horse out. So you're using gas that you're not going to have left at the end. Actually, the best post positions are at the outside of the starting gate, of the inside gate, in the first stall, in the outside gate, 14 and 15, right. Because you've got some wiggle room there, and you've got room to see what's in front of you and gain a position. But yeah, it's getting into that first turn. 6 horses get wiped out every year.
Yes, for sure. Talking about the post positions, what position would take you off your top pick? We're not giving out yet. What post position would take you off that horse? 1, 20?
I think the only post position where I would give second thought would be number 1. The pick that I'm going to give out, I like so much. I think he can win from anywhere.
Okay. Is Secretariat's record in jeopardy this year?
I don't think so, but it is a quality field, and the workout times this week have been very, very fast. So I think you're going to have a, no pun intended, a racehorse time.
Okay. Well, let's get to your picks. Let's talk about some of your top picks. Your number 1 pick is O-R-B.
Shug McGahee.
Shug McGahee.
Why? There are several reasons.
Okay.
Right. Shug McGahee is a Lexington, Kentucky native, but has not saddled that many horses in any of the Triple Crown races, frankly. McGahee lets the horse mature. Horses mature when they're 5 or 6 years old. Asking a 3-year-old this early in the year to run 1.25 miles is like asking a 12-year-old to run the Boston Marathon. McGahee's cognizant of that fact. The last horse he started in the Derby was Starland in 2002, who came in 10th. Before that, it was back to 1989 with Sunday Silence and Easy Goer and the trilogy of races that they had. Easy Goer won the Belmont Sunday Silence because he was more agile. Won the Preakness in the Kentucky Derby. But when McGahee has a horse like this and he puts him in, just on that fact alone, it's got to be seriously considered. Then what he did was he took Orr and he brought him to Payson Park in Indiantown, Florida, which is a deep tiring surface. And that and Calder, where It's My Lucky is from, they're both deep tiring surfaces, and that legs a horse up very well. That's why you see these Florida horses come in and run well in the Derby. Well, the Payson Park workouts don't look all that great, but believe me, they're a lot better than they look. So now Orr came up in the middle of last week. He in his gallops around Mike Welsh, who used to work at Suffolk Downs. He's the clocker for the Daley Racing Farm and a good friend of ours. He couldn't believe how Orr was going over the track. Then on Monday, Orr had a workout of 47 and 4/5 seconds, which doesn't seem like that great. But Jen Patterson, the exercise rider, was on him, and she never moved. She never asked him to change leads. He did it on his own. After they hit the finish line at 47.4, she stood up in the irons to slow the horse down on the gallop out, and the horse went another furlong in, it's a minute and 4/5 seconds for the 5 furlongs, and a minute 14 for 6 furlongs. And she was standing in the irons the whole time. That could have been a great 6 furlong workout, never mind a 4 furlong workout. And Mike Welsh, for one, said that is the most unbelievable workout we've had all week, and it may make him the favorite. So for all of those reasons, I think Harvey's going to run a bang-up race.
You sold me. Here's 100. Put it on the nose.
Yeah, a piece of peso.
Wow.
A piece of pesos, Dennis.
Hey, that's all I got. That's all I got. They don't pay me. They pay me in pesos.
So he's my first pick.
No, obviously. How about place and show? What do you like?
It's my lucky day to place.
So that's the rerun of the Florida Derby?
We could have a rerun of the Florida Derby. Any place has trained this horse to the minute. My only question on this horse is, can he get the distance? He's by a sprinter on the top end, but he looks like he has some bottom on the female end. And I think being in the second flight, getting first run on the leaders, right off the leaders, could help him. And he looks like he's got some real quality. He looks like he's game, and he's going to go outside in the stretch, so he'll lose a little ground there. But he's my second pick. Revolutionary, as I mentioned before, Fletcher's horse is my third pick with my long shot, Frack Daddy.
Okay. Do we have a triple crown possible in this field, or is it just too deep? Too many good 3-year-olds?
That's a good question. We haven't had one since Affirmed, and that's a long time now. I think Orb could be that kind of a horse. Your horse that you kind of like, Goldencents, if he gets loose on the lead, he could be that kind of a horse. Any of Fletcher's horses, especially Revolutionary and Verrazano, could be that kind of a horse. That's why it's a very good deep field. But on the other hand, they could take turns beating each other this Triple Crown season.
Okay, let's talk about your betting plays just quickly. Go over how you would bet this Derby.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bet Orb to win. And frankly, I don't care what price he is. I don't think he's going to be less than 3-1. If he was 6-5, I'd probably not put as much to win on him.
Right.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Orb over and under, overanalyze, Revolutionary, It's My Lucky Day, Normandy Invasion, and Frack Daddy. So I'm going to have him on top of those 5 horses, and I'm going to have those 5 horses on a smaller bet on top of him. That's going to cover my place bet. Okay? And then what I'm going to do on my trifecta is I'm going to put R, I'm going to single R.
Yes.
And then I'm going to take those 5 horses and use them for second and third. So a $1 trifecta using R on top with those 5, it would be 1 times 5 times 4, which would be $20. So again, do whatever's affordable for you, But that's the way I do it.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah, and then of course I'm going to have that Oaks Derby Daily Double.
Oh yeah.
With the 3 horses, Beholder, Dreaming of Julia, and Close Hatches in the Oaks, with Ark and It's My Lucky Day in the Derby.
Okay. I hope everyone's writing this down. So a lot of your money is riding on Orb. Lastly, I'm going to throw you that curveball that I said I was going to throw you. Give us a mutter if it does come up wet, which is 50% chance of doing, I understand.
Okay.
I threw him a curveball. Silence. Silence is not good in a video.
I think.
Remember, see Paul's column in the Friday Lowell Sun. Get all this information.
I guess I would say Verrazano.
Verrazano in the mud. I don't like Verrazano that much. I like Goldencents and Frack Daddy. How's that? Paul, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully you gave out the winner to our loyal listeners and viewers. And everybody have fun at the Derby on Saturday. Remember, you can bet it at Rockingham Park, Suffolk Downs, or various online accounts. Good luck.
Good luck. Good luck, everybody. May the horse be with you, as Howie Pack used to say.
Very good.
Hey, Jim, I got 2 other horses for you Friday.
Yeah.
The 8 Bell Stakes on Friday, Calistoga.
Oh, yeah. That's my wine country.
And the American Turf Stakes on Friday, Wardman.
Who trains those horses?
I think McPeak has one, and I'm not sure who has the other one, but I think they're both in very good spots.
Good. Okay. Now,
You want
I've got a sour.
You want to take one?
Yeah, I'm taking one. I've got a sour on Elvis. Well, why isn't he riding as much? People, it's because he guns